Hey everyone, my name is Hope and I am just another INTJ on the internet saying hello. Today we are taking a look at personalitypage.com. As you may be aware, I am on just a whole rampage of taking whatever personality test is free on the internet. It's just a personal quest. I'm just curious about it. I want to get a vibe for like what tests seem accurate and real and actually able to tell you something about your personality. And the more you kind of take a personal inventory and learn about yourself, I feel like that is a form of accessing self reflection. And you think about things you maybe didn't necessarily think about yourself before. Um, and it can kind of get you into that mind state towards like self improvement. You're like, oh, that's actually an issue for me, and maybe I can improve that. So we're at personality page, and I'm here on the about page. Um, be your best self. Yeah, just do it. Just go out and do that. We see that this is supposedly backed by the work of Carl Jung, and then, of course, Myers and Briggs with the MBTI indicator system. So, with the cognitive functions in the MBTI code sort of in the back of our minds, we can take this type test. Okay. At the end of an evening spent with friends, you feel okay. So let's see. We have the 5 Likert. Middle or neutral is the smallest, and then the extremes are larger bubbles. It's interesting. The text of the question is gray, while the sort of extreme indicators are red. Um, hmm. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know if I have an opinion. Okay, so to the question. So with friends, it's kind of interesting because I'm at a point in my life where I really have control over the company I keep, which is wonderful. So actually, whenever I'm doing activities with friends, it's people I like and enjoy. And we're usually doing tasks together that I also enjoy. And so whenever I'm in like my vibe zone, like whenever I'm doing something that really interests me, I am actually more full of energy and I'm engaged, I'm in the moment, and then after that socializing with friends, there's a lot of post processing that's happening. So it's really crazy because if I'm in a normal social situation, just small talk or like a day of work with colleagues that maybe I don't really bond with very well, I'm going to be tired. I'm going to be over here. But as we start getting towards, specifically friends, then I'm going to end up being more towards this side, but I'm not extroverted. So it's really tough for me to answer this question in particular. I'm going to say here because I really do feel charged and engaged, especially if it's something I like. Do you usually think before saying something or talk off the top of your head? This is a very interesting question for TE because TE likes to think things through and discuss things out loud. That's why I'm an INTJ on the internet. I want to have these discussions. I want to talk it out with someone else. I'm kind of like seeking the thoughts of other people. Comment down below. So am I talking off the top of my head? Sometimes it depends on the context. If I'm in a social setting and I need to balance different people's perspectives and points of view, their different energies, then, and in general, I do like to protect my privacy. I'm a private person, so I'm really cautious about what I do say. So I'm much more, okay, they actually labeled the middle as not sure this time. I'm definitely going to think first. Um, Is that always true? I think more often than not. I'm actually going to answer it at the extreme. Okay. How comfortable are you when walking into a new social situation? I'm never comfortable in a new social situation. Absolutely not. Nervous is not quite right. Anxious. I think there's a difference between anxiety and nervousness. I almost feel like nervousness is like an in the moment sort of thing. But anxiety is like precognition. Like you're thinking about the logistics of what's going to happen, and it's causing this like sense of like overwhelm of like, oh, I gotta manage all of these different things, and I don't think I'm well suited at doing that in the moment. Um, so I don't know if that's the right word to use, my word choice, but I'll go with that. Like I'm never comfortable walking into a new social situation. Never. Do you use your phone most days as a phone? Yes. No. Wait. That's a weird question. Um, I know phones these days are super complex and they can do so many things, but I'm one of those people who like I'm not going to use my phone for everything. For example, for a camera, I have a really basic smartphone, right? It's like $100 phone or whatever, as opposed to these $1,000 phones of iPhones you can get. It's like a generic smartphone, and it's like the cheapest I could find at my local store. And it does all the things of, I can search the internet if I need to look something up. I can download specific apps that I'm very interested in. Um, so like I will read on my phone. I will sometimes watch YouTube videos if I'm at home on my own Wi-Fi. I don't really take pictures with it, and then I'll text. And I don't normally speak on the phone. I don't like speaking on the phone to people. I much prefer asynchronous communication and texting, where I get to think about what I want to say and write it out. So I'm actually more on the no side, I think, after thinking about that. After a few days alone, you are most likely to feel. I don't get bored. I can mostly just, there's so much endless things. As long as I have the internet, I think I'm fine. I'm never going to be bored. And I don't really get lonely. Um, I think, like most INTJs, I sometimes forget that people exist. Like, I will think of people conceptually. I'll be like, man, I really love that person. And I'll think about them and like, oh, they have these great attributes, and I really love spending time with them. And then I won't follow up on it. And then sometimes I'll be so engaged in a task or like research or learning something, and I will just forget that people exist in general. So it's really nice when people intrude upon me because I might not be the person initiating and reaching out. So if I'm alone, it's going to feel very tranquil. It's going to feel like post apocalyptic movie. I'm the last person on earth. I'm just like living my life. Do you prefer environments that are bustling with energy or calm and quiet? Um, so that's interesting because I like to people watch, and I do like environments that are bustling that I can observe from a distance. So I'll be that person in the corner or at a table or whatever, and I have like a cat basically. I pick a really good position where I have observation lines, and then I like to people watch. I like to watch their behaviors and stuff, maybe make up stories about who they are based on like the logic of certain context and stuff. So I really do like that activity. And actually, um, I think what I would really love is like a platonic queer friend, and we would just go like public sightseeing and we would just comment, like, really sassy about all the people. Um, but I do like the calm and quiet a lot. If I'm involved in a task, then it almost doesn't really matter because I'm very good at shutting things out. So I'm kind of in the middle of things. But I don't like bustling environments if I have to move through that environment, if I have to navigate it, if I have to be involved or participate in that environment. I hate it. I want to be an observer in a busy environment. So I think I'll go over here. How much does it bother you to see something out of its assigned place? Not really. As long as you can find a place, as long as it's within functional reach, it's fine. I know SI really has a problem with like almost like an OCD sort of issue, and I think probably people with OCD probably have internal sensing in some way or form. Uh, yeah, I might not notice. But if someone is putting things out of place on purpose, like they're almost trying to like gaslight you in your own space, I would be really pissed off. Because I do have a little bit of a sensing demon sensitivity. Is your non-work schedule planned out and updated in your calendar, or do you more often go with the flow? I'm more of a with the flow type of person, but it's really weird for an INTJ because our NI is first, so all of our planning and such happens in our head. And we might write down to-do lists, but it's very vague. It's like maybe I'll do these things today, but maybe I'll only do 3 of the 10. And like you might have like ongoing long-term projects or goals, but the direction that you take to get to them might shift over time. And I feel like it's the same in non-work or work. I try to be a little bit more like I'm going to write stuff down. I'm going to do a to-do list in my work because people are keeping track of my productivity. Whereas in my non-work life, I'm the only one who's really monitoring my productivity. So it is mostly in my head. And for me, it's like if I'm going to commit resources to an event, I usually block out the whole day. Um, and that's to allow like the most time for it so I don't overbook or overcommit resources. And I probably will never flake on something unless something, an extreme obstacle comes up or really like intervenes. But mostly I do want to remain available because if someone does reach out to me and like wants to do something, I will push aside all of my own planned activities and I'll be like, yes, I will do what you want to do. Because again, like I'm not the best initiator per se, but I feel like I am fairly responsive to other people. And as long as I get enough like mental prep time, then I am able to go with the flow. When it comes to householdy routine tasks, do you enjoy them or dislike them? Oh, I hate them. But the TE demands that, the TESE, right? Because it demands you take care of your environment because the TE is looking out for your NI, right? It's subservient to your NI. So it's like, um, and FI is super moody, right? Because it's like a little child. And so the TE is like, okay, FI, we gotta whip your ass into shape. We are going to do the household chores so that you have a space and environment that allows for you to sit and pursue your intellectual activities and your hobbies. But I hate doing them. I don't enjoy it. Do you usually finish what you start? Yeah, definitely. That's an INTJ thing, like through and through. Um, we might abandon a project, but we still consider it to be complete because we have assessed that project to no longer be worth the cost it is to sustain that project. So it is in itself a complete project, even if we abandon it. Are you a tidy person? Um, so that's an interesting question for someone with a perceiving function uh, like NI. Because whenever NI is in the second position for like an ENFJ or ENTJ, I feel like it creates a little bit more of a demand for, because it's in the like sort of parenting position. So in those cases, it'll act as like a structure or a framework for the things you're wanting to pursue. So like your TE stuff, your NI is really going to organize that, or like your well, I have seen a lot of ENFJs be really organized with their calendars as well. So I feel like the sort of like organization, to-do list calendars are more for like NI in the second position. In the first position, and with SI, if you think about like Dr. John Beebe or Linda Barron's model of like the 8 functions, if you like fully flesh that out, for the INTJ, SI, internal sensing, which tends to be highly correlated with neatness and tidiness and like specific detailed structure, relating to like the self. Um, it's last. It's super last. It's super, super demon mode for INTJ. So we're not going to be tidy because we like a functional space. So we're going to be Spartan in our environment because we may not keep a lot of clutter around because that really like annoys our SE demon. But we're not necessarily going to be tidy. So kind of, but not really. It's a really hard one for me. It's weird. Do you like to finish your chores before relaxing? TE kind of demands you do that. But FI is super moody, so sometimes FI wins, and it's like, I don't really have the energy. It's really energy dependent. So if you haven't really, but like, even if you fall into a depression, which I have before, like, TE will still be functional, will still be like, you have to do the dishes, you have to do your laundry, you have to take a shower, like these sort of things. They're not really chores, but they are the chores of humanity and sustaining your human presence. And I think to an INTJ, those are chores. So I would say yes. Do you think of yourself as having an active imagination? For sure. Like INTJs are very speculative. We're always in our head. We're thinking about things. Is it more analytical and serious and TE based? Yeah, mental models and stuff. But it can get weird and funky. That's why we love ENFPs and INFPs. Let's see. Do you usually take people at face value or look for hidden meaning in what they say? Um, so this is tricky for an INTJ because interpreting this question, I'll say, uh, because what we want is for people to verbally clearly state their needs. So we can use that information to make our plans because if we care about you, we want to hear your needs so we can incorporate them into our plans. People aren't like that. So we would love to take people at face value. But it's impossible to do that, because people don't know what they want and they don't say what they want. And there's all of these little language games that people play um, where they're trying to communicate their needs without communicating their needs. And they're trying to cover for their deficiencies and insecurities, and every type does it for sure. Um, so I feel like as the INTJ, part of you using your NI correctly is going to be taking what they say, but really listening to how they're saying things and the way that they're conveying information, and maybe asking follow-up questions to further clarify what they're saying. Because if it is important, then we will want to get to the motivations that are behind what the person is saying. Like, we really care about value and meaning, not hidden meanings, but like the actual sincere, genuine, like holistic meaning of something. And I wouldn't classify it as hidden meaning because that sounds like really secretive, as if we're trying to like pry into something. But really, we're just trying to get to the like honesty um, of the perspective and motivations. With that being said, my ability is lacking. I try to do these things, and I think the NIFI is really good at sussing out the meaning of things and seeing things that other people do not. But then people of course don't always agree with us because sometimes it's like information they don't want to hear about themselves. So it's debatable. Do you often research ideas and topics that interest you? Yeah, absolutely. All the time. We'll always do that. Do you think more about the future or the past? Future oriented. The past, I hardly know her. Yeah, I don't. My memory is so bad. And maybe it's because I don't like dwell on the past or think about the past. And in general, NI is built on impressions. So we're like, I can like vaguely tell you about the past, and I can tell you how I felt about a certain movie I watched, and I can tell you like Oh, I like that movie. I thought it was very complex and thought about some really interesting topics. But I can't tell you the plot of that movie, probably. Do you know a lot about a few things or a little bit about a lot of things? That's really interesting because I feel like TI is the type that goes like really narrow focus into a specific topic, TISI, if you want to double down on it. Where TE is more generalized, NI is very generalized. We like to learn and explore a lot of things, but INTJs can also become specialists. So, because we like to dive deeper into a topic, we can hyper focus on a specific topic, and that becomes like our working knowledge. And we might shift different channels throughout the course of our life based on our FI. So it's like, okay, we're following this FI channel and we're going to go super in depth about this trading card game that I'm really interested in. Or we're going to go down this path and we're going to really explore slam poetry. These are things I've done, mixed martial arts. Like um, currently, I don't know, getting into Dance Dance Revolution again because I was kind of briefly into it in high school, and I've pulled out the games and I'm playing them again. But yeah, I feel like we can pursue a breadth of things, um, but also selectively go really deep on certain topics. So I'm more inclined. I hate how all of these questions I can answer multiple ways. Do you think about mortality and the human condition? Not really. Okay, look, the human condition, that's so vague. I do think about the human condition. I don't think about mortality because it doesn't really concern me. I mean, I've had my existential crises early in life, and so I've pretty much made peace with my mortality. Um, but the human condition is still, the human condition is a living thing to explore, right? Mortality is death. That's going to happen, whatever, blah, blah, blah. The human condition is ongoing. It's about your life and purpose and meaning and who you connect with and the kind of legacy you leave behind. So you should be thinking about the human condition throughout your life. Like, honestly, that's my advice. Um, so yeah, I don't like this grouping of things. Sure. Do you learn more towards arts, business, or science? Oh, do you lean more towards arts, business, or science? Oh, why do they separate those? My job is business. I really like physics, and like relativity and sort of like cosmological things are really interesting to me. But I'm in the field of internal auditing, and I really love economics and concepts within accounting. And I love poetry, and I like literature, and I love story and narrative. So this is bullshit. This is the most bullshit question I've ever heard. All of the above. I lean towards all of them. Do you need to know that someone is capable of compassion to think well of them? No. Um, no. I'm more like merit competence based. Like, I think it's nice if you're compassionate, but if that's your leading quality, I don't know. People are complex and multifaceted, but I actually think more well towards like um probably competence at something. So if you're competent at compassion and that's your field, and that's what you're good at, like I can really admire you. Yeah, so that's an interesting question. Do you usually have a good sense of how others are feeling? Uh, I feel like people could self-deceive them into thinking that they do when they actually don't. As an INTJ, I do have If you're looking at Dr. John Beebe and Linda Behrens and the 8-function model, and the blind spot or the trickster or the double bind is going to be an extroverted feeling. So in a lot of times it's like smooth brain, it's going over the surface. Like I sometimes am going to miss social cues. I'm not really going to fully be able to act upon what I'm sensing from other people. Actually, I can be quite intuitive when it comes to or sensitive to other people's like moods based on either like their nonverbal expressions or like their language use or how they're carrying themselves, like energy wise. I can understand that something is not right, but I don't know exactly what is at the source of that. And I don't know if I should interpose and do anything about that. I don't know what the best FE course of action would be to help in that situation. So I often end up doing nothing. Um, so I'm gonna go more towards I'm clueless because I think I can't really act on any of that information even if I do take it in. Which sometimes if my awareness isn't there, if I'm not like scoping the room and I'm focused on a task, then there's nothing there. Like I'm not going to it's not going to suddenly ping me. I have to be in a mode where I'm passively observing things. Um, but if I'm task focused, it just all of this drama doesn't exist at all, which is nice because I can turn off all of the drama. I don't know, give and take sort of thing. Should law enforcement be objective and consistent, or should it take the context of each situation into account? That's kind of a rude question. It should do both. Right? I mean, it should be objective and consistent in its like kind of application, and then through the rule of law, like on a case by case basis, you should then be like considering the context. And I feel like that's what the legal system is trying to do, isn't it? Um, so I feel like this is a false dichotomy. It's really tough. Does math hold the secrets of the universe? um, it depends on what universe, bro. It depends on what secrets. Um, yes and no. I mean, I think the reason why we have so many different subjects and so many different fields of knowledge and area, and math has so many subdivisions within it. Um, I think we have such a diversity because the universe is multifaceted. And the secrets of the universe, whatever the hell you're calling the secrets of the universe, are also multifaceted. And so, I mean, maybe, bro, math holds some of the secrets. It's going to do something. It's a very useful tool. So if you want to utilize math as a tool to uncover what you define to be a secret, then yeah, absolutely. Sure. Go math. Does seeing other people cry make you feel like crying? Yes, to an extent. Um, and no. Let me explain. Okay. So, I don't immediately empathize with people. So, if someone's crying, I'm not going to cry. But if, for example, I'm watching a movie and I have seen the struggle of the characters and you understand the grief of the character and the depth of that grief, I can sympathize, I can put myself in that place. And that does make me feel like crying because it's poignant. Like it's really emotionally gripping if you understand the context of why someone is crying. But I'm not just going to cry offhand because someone is shedding tears. So I'll say no on this. Yeah, cold hearted INTJ. Are you aware that you are sometimes insensitive to others? Yeah, but like I try to do it with flair and humor and style. I try to be considerate of people. You can't always do that because Right, it depends on your demeanor and your style, depends on the situation. You're always going to be insensitive to someone just simply because they are outside of your awareness. That doesn't mean you should stop trying. I think you should be conscientious. I don't think you should be the asshole because you want to be the asshole. When working through a problem, do you go through the steps you think will solve the problem or skip steps and make leaps in judgment? Ooh, definitely. I'm skipping all. This is why I struggled with math and uncovering the secrets of the universe, is because math often has like a very like systematic, like, oh, you gotta do this, this, and that. And I'm like, but what if we like combined and condensed certain steps, or what if we skipped that? Um, but I'm very methodical. Okay, here's the thing. I can't follow someone else's plan, but I make my own plan and I follow that plan. And I'm very methodical with my own plan. I'm like, this is how I'm going to do it. I break it down and I have to have a structure to how I problem solve. And even if I have the basic like rules or steps of how to generally solve the problem, I will say like, hey, this is a new content text, this is me, can I improve these steps, can I do it differently? I need to think critically about this situation rather than just following through with a specific plan. When plans are canceled, you feel let down or relieved. It depends on the plans. So if it's an obligation that I felt obligated to go to, um, lest I be criticized for being like isolationist and antisocial, then I feel relieved because I'm like, oh, I don't have to do that. But if it's a plan that I made with someone I love and care about, and I'm like really excited to like have this time together and share this experience, then I feel let down. And I should probably keep this in mind, um, the moments when I feel let down, because what if the other person who is making the plans and stuff like really want me to be there, really want. I often like dismiss my presence as being something that's highly valued, um, to other people. So I don't always take that into consideration that, oh, someone might really actually want me there. Um, and would feel extremely let down if the plans were canceled, or the plans were never made in the first place, because I won't make plans unless I can commit to them. So I mean, I've been on both sides of this coin, so it's an unfair dichotomy. But I'll lean more towards that. In terms of arriving somewhere at the time you intend, not necessarily the agreed upon time. Do you arrive later? Arrive exactly when planned. What about early? Oh, well, it's not necessarily the agreed upon time arriving you intend. Okay, sometimes I intend there to be there early, and I'm exactly there when I intend to be. Um, whether that is early, late, or on time. I'm mostly an early on time person. Is it easy for you to make new friends? No, but damn, are they good people when I do make friends. Do you get bored when the conversation gets theoretical? Absolutely not. Love that shit. Who am I? Introverted intuitive. Okay, NI. You got me. You got me. Okay, what do I think of this quote? It is possible I am dreaming right now and all my perceptions are false. No, that's some shit. Yeah. I mean, I would say this as a joke because I'm a pragmatist, right? So this would be a joke, like, um, to sort of like really sort of like tease someone. It's like, or it's all just a dream, or it's all just a mindscape. Oh, we're in the Matrix. I don't really believe that, but it's really fun to say. Um, I'm a pragmatist. I'm a TE user. But I think that's NI enough because I'm definitely gonna say that shit. Okay, rich inner dream world. I don't know if I would call it a dream world. I would call it speculative, hypothetical, um, contingency planning. It's just kind of like a world of like scoping different possibilities. Um, yeah, visions that constitute possibilities. Yep. Um, fascinated, likes nothing better than being a spectator um, in the world of their own mind. I mean, I like to be active in my own mind and a spectator in the world. Constantly walk a line between rich visions, real world around them. Capable of great things. Sure, that's nice of you to say. Um, objective and somewhat random. True. Let's see. Applies judgment. Yeah, it's usually the TE that kind of shapes the NI. And I like to talk a lot about um, personalized mental models and schema and how that's kind of like a living thing for an INTJ and how we're constantly cherry picking from our life's observations and we're kind of like modifying our many like different sets of mental models and sometimes these mental models are sometimes a different category of them are like scripts to use in a specific situation. So it's like based on logic and past experiences and other things that I'm kind of like tweaking, this might be the best action to take under these specific circumstances. And then if some new information is revealed, then we have like a contingent pathway, which is the next best path or course of action based upon the changing risks and the changing landscape in front of us. Um, wants to suspend judgment. I do think that's true. Like, we're very passive when we're in the research or information collecting stage, and we're going to be we're going to hold off with our judgments and with our opinions until we can really back them up with empirical evidence. And that's the TE, I think, is going to provide the TESE is going to provide that empirical evidence that helps us really justify our opinion and hold our own whenever we're in that discussive mode. Da, 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 da. Choose careers in which they can make order from their store of ideas. I think that's very true in internal auditing. A lot of my job is structuring information into a form that is like digestible and you can interpret the data in order to drive insight. And you're really engaging with processes to try to improve them and make them more effective, more efficient. And you're trying to point out the risks that people should be aware of and that they should try to mitigate or control. So internal auditing, that's where I'm at with my career. Yeah, but like you can be artistic, you can be writers, scientists. I mean, the thing about NI is like it's very transferable. So you could be in literally any career. Private, standoffish, difficult to get to know well. I think you should try to avoid being this type of INTJ that has the acerbic tongue or open hostility. Um, hmm. And you know, oftentimes I see this a lot in TI as opposed to TE. Like TE seems a lot more discussive, but I feel like TI can get very attacky. Maybe that's just my experience because TI is the critic of TE. Let's see. Few people are close or very important to them, and we're careful to treat them well. I think that's true. Um, Yeah, I think sometimes being alone is easier than being with other people. It's just more relaxing and stuff. But we really need to continue to stay engaged with the real world because that's where like all of our content comes from realistically. I feel like NE is very good with like engaging with ideas and then like um spontaneously spawning more ideas from the ideas. Whereas NI takes in a lot of information and we see multiple possibilities, right? But typically we're condensing down rather than exploding outward like NE does. Okay, so it's really interesting because this gives a dominant function, but it does not give a type in the MBTI system. But I want to say that at the very least, this test was accurate at pinging my introverted intuition. But sometimes I'm like, my NI is so damn obvious that if you don't see it, you're blind. That's just my opinion. I think I just exude NI energy. Um, but I guess if you're not really familiar with that, then this would seem impressive to you. To sort of, but I think everyone's dominant function. I, I don't know. I feel like you can get the vibe of everyone's dominant function. So I don't know if it's super impressive to be able to obtain that from a test. So I think you can decide how functional that is going to be for you. Again, this is very INTJ focused. If you want to explore this yourself, you sure can. They even have a section for kids, apparently, and sort of a little bit further explanation of the theory. Um, so, yeah, I don't have much to say. I think for what this test was and what it was technically accurate. And I would rate it higher than some of the other bullshit I've seen on the internet. Um, but still, it's not impressive to me to guess someone's dominant function. It's not really very impressive. So I don't know. While it's accurate, it's not very helpful, probably to you in your life. Okay, so thanks for tuning in and hanging out. And yeah, if you have anything to say, feel free to get in on the comments and like and subscribe and all that nonsense. All right, well, have a great day.